Afternoon, everybody. Just like to get your attention, please. So how many like Sulacote? I was just eavesdropping. I just got caught wind of that last. How do you like Sulacote? Do you know where Sulacote is? Yeah, there we go. And so I just want to welcome you all to our afternoon presentation, which is the 7th Youth Inquest overview. And I'm just going to introduce our speaker tonight, this afternoon. Hoping it's tonight. Amanda Figalimini. Excuse me if I tortured that name. Has been working as the inquest coordinator here with the education department at NAN for just a little over under 3 years now. And she's previously been in the role of the inquest project officer, which is my role now within the education department at NAN. She comes to the table with the background of political science, pre-law sociology, and she completed a double BA degree from Lakehead University. Prior to her role here at NAN and shortly after graduating from Lakehead, Amanda has experience working in the legal practice in Thunder Bay, specifically dealing with family and children development and outreach together. These experiences have helped Amanda in her current role. Is that you? I was going, what? Excuse me, online. You have to erase that part. Anyhow, here's Amanda. Let's give a round of applause for Amanda. I didn't make it up.
Thanks, Joyce. Okay. Presenting like this is a little bit new for me. So I just use this clicker, right? Moving forwards and stuff. So anyways, just to kind of tie together what Joyce had said. So I have been here for just a little under 3 years, and previously, before this, I was working in the field of practicing law. That was my future goal as to what I had wanted to do in life. I wanted to be a family lawyer. Actually, before I even had thought of, working with youth and whatnot, I wanted to do corporate law. But then I found a nice little path here, and I'm really enjoying myself with NAN. So we'll begin today's presentation. So I just move. Okay. No, we're good. Okay, so today we're just going to do a brief overview of what's kind of been previously going on in the last year or so within the 7 Youth Inquest here with NAN. So for those of you who don't know, that the inquest is a result of the 7 youth who tragically lost their lives while attending high school here in Thunder Bay. And those 7 individuals included Jordan Wobosh, Jethro Anderson, Kyle Morriso, Robin Harper, Paul Penages, and Reggie Bushy and Cran Strain. And I apologize if I butchered any of those names. The goal of the proceeding was to prevent similar deaths from occurring and ensuring safety for those youth for years to come while here for education within Thunder Bay. And the inquest concluded on June 28th of 2016, which a jury and judge posed 145 recommendations that were implemented. And that's kind of where most of our work falls under and comes from, is within those 145 recommendations. And NAN, Inquest Coordination, oversees the implementation process for the 7 Youth Inquest recommendations. So now we'll just do a brief highlights of what's the 2022-2023 fiscal year kind of looked like. So it was a little unprecedented due to COVID-19. We were kind of working from home, working in the office. It was more of a hybrid approach that kind of occurred. But despite that, the following inquest resources were completed, and those of which are including the missing person search toolkit, the health promotional resources, including the opioid info sheet, the binge drinking poster, the Good Samaritan law, the strategies for parents and caregivers booklet, as well as the 344 safe line, student safety line, and the draft MOU. As well as our media campaign for recommendation 116, the inquest backgrounder, the handbook for youth consent and capacity, and again, the relaunch of the Am I Missing campaign. All have been completed and distributed on an ongoing basis. So unfortunately here today, I don't have those handouts, but if you guys wanted to receive any of those resources, they're really good teaching resources. Feel free to leave your name and your email address and your mailing address, and I'll make sure that they get sent over your way as well, because some of them are really nice to have in classrooms, especially. So again, a copy of the previous list, the 7 Youth Inquest resources can be provided upon request. So upcoming for the 2022-2023 fiscal year, and now when I say this, I mean, I apologize, I made this presentation a few weeks ago. So come Friday, it is the end of our fiscal year. But nonetheless, the following are going to be completed: the cannabis info sheet, the drug use prevention booklet, the healthy habits booklet, the anti-sex trafficking info sheet, and the missing person search toolkit index card will be completed by the end of this year. So we're hoping to have those resources completed and distributed in April and May. These resources, again, previously listed, will be completed again by the end of the year. So those resources that I had previously just talked about, excuse me, the cannabis info sheet, the drug use prevention booklet, the healthy habits booklet, as well as the anti-sex trafficking info sheet and the missing person search toolkit index card. Those are more so spin-offs of the resources that have already been developed. And those resources are currently available. So if you would like to see those resources or would like to have them sent to your organization, please, again, leave your name and your email address, and I'll make sure that they get to you. So we'll talk about some of the recommendation statuses. So we have recommendation 21, and that was with the Youth Leadership Training Manual. It's currently still ongoing, and it's in a developing process. Recommendation 36 was the Choose Life program, and it has successfully been providing programs and services to help mental health and well-being supports for youth, as well as other initiatives are being proposed and developed currently. Recommendation 40 is the health promotional resources. So that's just kind of what I talked about a little bit more in depth. Those are those info sheets regarding to substance use and abuse, healthy habits, the missing person search toolkit, and such. So those have been completed, and each year in our work plan, we do develop another set of health promotional resources, because I believe that it's quite significant to keep those alive and to keep that material fresh for the coming years as well, and to keep it currently updated. I know things are always changing. Recommendation 47 and 87 was the comprehensive assessments and continuity of care. So with this, the comprehensive assessments are still being developed and ongoing. And the continuity of care form is actually upcoming this April. We've been planning for it April 26th and 27th, and it'll be here held here as well. And this is a form to ensure student safety and continuity while here for an education. There was a previous form. We had our first annual continuity of care forum that was held last March of 2022. And we're planning for another successful 2-day event coming end of April. With a little bit of a twist on this one, we've incorporated the Inquest family gatherings within the continuity of care. So it'll have a little bit of a different pathway, but essentially still the same focal points. And then we have recommendation number 91, which is the Am I Missing campaign. So with this campaign, there was posters and postcards that were developed in order to make awareness for the Am I Missing campaign that was originally, it launched in 2020, and it was relaunched again in August of 2021. So moving on, as well as recommendation number 91 holds the the missing person search toolkit. So again, with this toolkit is now developed, and it is available upon request. Feel free. Actually, I believe I have a copy here with me today. Just give me 1 second. So this is essentially what the toolkit looks like, and there's a lot of helpful information in here and it that pertains to missing persons, what to do when there's a missing person, the different kinds of searches. We worked again with the Thunder Bay Police, the NAPS, OPP, Lakehead Search and Rescue, as well as all the partners and the various task teams to develop this. This process was quite lengthy. I think it took almost over a year to have this developed. But I can't give you guys this copy, but again, it can be available upon request. So if your organization wants a copy or multiple copies, I can definitely make that happen and have those sent over as well. But this has been completed, but we're going to let this continue to live on. So with this, for this year, we're currently just finishing up our Am I Missing? Sorry, I keep saying that. Missing person search toolkit index card. So that's a portable index card that has a lot of the key information on it. And we're working on getting a QR code that's going to be scannable, hopefully, to this document itself. And then with that coming up for our 2024 work plan, we're hoping to continue this this pattern and this pathway of keeping this knowledge fresh by implementing another resource. And I'm looking at having a fold out poster created. So this is what the toolkit looks like here. And again, it can be available upon request if needed. So we'll just move on. So within the 7 Youth Inquest, the Inquest holds concerns for current education gaps, which include education-related training for coordinator-level positions, as well as increasing of police and awareness, as well as for stable, predictable funding. So working with our coordinators, we work with not only NAN, but we work with KO, we work with NNEC, we work with DFC, we work with Matawa, and we work with the partners together as a whole. And as coordinators, we've all come to a conclusion that it would be more beneficial for us to continue the work that we do and implement these recommendations by switching from proposal-based funding to needs-based funding. As well as funding to ensure student safety, like security or secure hiring staff and filling gaps, as well as alternative gaps within student education. So again, that's one of our biggest concerns that we have right now. And we're working together as a whole to kind of branch our minds together to find ways in which we can do so. But essentially it comes from, the funding that we don't have. And that is a hard hit for us because all of our recommendations are implemented through different avenues of funding. And it's quite expensive to continue to do all the good work we are doing. And it's hard for us to plan for future when we don't know what we're going to have from year to year. As well as there's concern for staffing, as well as renovations, partnerships, funding, and specifically funding, which includes provincial students 21 years of age to match with federal-based funding, as well as Power School Student Information System, increased funding to speed up the curriculum, and special allowance for student activities and clothing. Sometimes some of our students come here and they're given a very small allowance, which, they come here and they don't have the means, but they don't have proper clothing. They don't have winter jackets. They don't have, just your everyday basic needs. So that's something that we find is an issue and that we're looking towards finding a solution to that. As well as looking for permanent funding for appropriate long-term plans, looking into student safety and the Mental Health Act within that. And that is quite significant because, like I said, it's hard for us to plan year to year when we're not even sure if we're going to have enough funds to implement these recommendations and the initiatives and the activities and the resources that come along with it, let alone be able to have, sufficient staff, to have staff in schools or to have staff help, implement these important recommendations. So that's something that we are currently looking at resolving together. So results of the recommendation, along with the implementation, many initiatives, activities, meetings, and resources are a result of the 145 recommendations. A lot of planning and important meetings take place into future growth. the success of the Inquest. So within Inquest, a lot of the stuff that goes on is through different task teams, different meetings that take place with the partners. So some of which include the task team meetings. So each year we have 3 different task team meetings. We have the program services and funding task team. We have the infrastructure task team and the student well-being task team. And as you can see, these meetings have already taken place. We do have one that had to be pushed and it's upcoming in April. But collaboratively together with the partners and different government officials and city organization members, we kind of plan and discuss important things in each different category throughout the year to sustain, again, those program services and funding, as well as infrastructure and especially student well-being. Another significant meeting that takes place is our education table meeting. And this is where we come together with a lot of our educational partners, different school boards, again, different government representatives, and to talk about more so of a holistic approach of the core things that have to get done within having, our First Nation youth attend school here in Thunder Bay. And then the biggest one I would say that we have is our partners meeting and our political table meeting. Our political table meeting allows for all the different partners, different coordinators like myself to get together at a big table and collaboratively discuss all the issues that they're having within their own organization, and bring those forth towards discussing them with different ministries. We have a lot of different ministries that come in for it: Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Child Services, a whole bunch of different ministries come to the table, and they're allowed to raise their issues and concerns. And we like to see that as almost it's very beneficial, because having those ministers in the room allow to hear the immediate concern for what is going on, and they're allowed to take that back and hopefully come to a solution at a higher level. So that is probably our biggest meeting that happens throughout the year. So all of those meetings, like I had just mentioned, they help implement and push the success of the 7 Youth Inquest, and especially these 145 recommendations that were implemented due to that. So without these meetings and without all the other hardworking partners that I work with, none of what has been done would be here today. So currently, some of our activities and initiatives that we're doing. So like I had mentioned, we have the health promotional resources. So we have completed the previous resources that I had just mentioned, and these are said to be done and ready for print in the next coming months. So we have the cannabis info sheet, the drug use prevention and healthy habits booklet, the missing person search index card, anti-human trafficking info sheet, and those are currently continuing to be ongoing. And when I say ongoing, Joyce, sitting in the back of the room here, she's been helping me quite significantly in the last 3 weeks, kind of get those completed. So hopefully we'll have those available to you guys soon. As well as we have the continuity of care form. So like I had mentioned, last March was our first ever continuity of care form, and it took a different approach. It was a virtual approach. We were quite successful with it. So April 26th and 27th here at the Best Western Nor'Wester View, we'll be having our second continuity of care form, collaborating with partners, First Nation youth, coordinators to gather and continue to learn and grow in regards to the significance of continuity within a First Nation youth life through the transition to Thunder Bay for an education, while ensuring safety. And again, this has a little bit of a twist on it. As I mentioned, we've collaborated our continuity of care form with our, wouldn't say it's our first ever, because there was one that happened in 2019, but I believe it's the second Inquest families gathering. So that should be nice to have the two of them together. And then as well as this is a new initiative. So the Student Street and Self-Safety Initiative, this initiative was developed in collaboration with the Student safety coordinator, education and Inquest department, as well as the women's initiative department within NAN. And the presentation was to develop awareness for First Nations students here in an urban setting for an education. So what we did was we entered all provincially run high schools within Thunder Bay, both Catholic and public board, as well as DFC and the feeder schools for feeder schools, so grade 7s and 8s. To ensure self and street safety while making the students aware of the resources available to them within the city. So we did most of these presentations in November and December of 2022, as well as we finished up in January of 2023, but we have some outstanding schools that we couldn't fit in the winter months that we are doing upcoming. So I believe we actually have Amersfoort, and it's this afternoon. I couldn't be there because I obviously had to be here today. But essentially we had guest speakers. We had City of Thunder Bay Police come and speak. We had NAPS come speak, as well as we had a lot of different, we had like a trade show kind of format set up for the students. They were allowed to walk around and see all the different resources or organizations that are available to them pertaining to like health and safety, mental health, just different things like that if they wanted to get involved. We had the Leading Edge gym there. They were doing a self-defense class portion as well within that. And it was really nice to see the kids really engaged with this. So for this coming 2023-2024 work plan, we're trying to get some funding to continue to keep this initiative alive, just because we've seen how successful it was with having, that one-on-one with the students in the gymnasium and allowing them to, just see what else is out there in the community as well. I mean, a lot of individuals would have never known that there are services available to them in regards to mental health, in regards to getting involved in the community, participating in sports or extracurriculars. So again, this was our newest initiative and probably one of our most significant, I would say. It did touch a lot of students. And that's pretty much all I have to share for the 7 Youth Inquest. So that's a broad overview as what we are doing. And if anybody has any questions, again, if you want to leave your name or your email address or mailing address, I could definitely send out those resources. Again, we do have, I would say 6 or 7 different resources that are currently available for educators and the public. Thank you.
Questions out there? Anybody have any questions? Maybe when we can get a slower version next time, a lot of information that was put out there, and I would direct you to our website, nan.ca, and it has the progress report as to where we are at. It gives progress reports from other departments like Matawa Learning Center, KO, Kiwetinokokamanic, Government Ontario, Government Canada, Thunder Bay Police, Northern Anishinaabe Education Center, Dennis Franklin, and City of Thunder Bay. They have the progress report to us too, and it identifies on top of the report their recommendation number, like what they're responsible for, like within their own organization. So it's very informative progress report as to where they are to this date. And COVID did a big thing for all across Canada, all internationally, when it comes to services and people where they're at. And so, but we do have excellent resources. The missing persons document. It helps sometimes as people, we sit on the sidelines and wonder what's the next steps are going to be. But when we have a document as such, it helps us guide us through the process, who to contact. And because, when you're in that moment of emergency, you don't know what to do. You're like, and especially if it's your own family member or community member. And so this guide provides some kind of direction, I guess, so once again, that's also going to be on online, And she mentioned like, we do have everybody's email. Maybe if we could automatically just send you the resources so that you'll have it in your own organization and share it with the young people. You know, actually open up the book and go through, and then it says, oh, we've been doing that. You know, when they see it on print, it gives them a like, hey, I'm going in the right direction or whatnot, you know, so it helps them, and also take that leadership role and peer mentoring, you know, it lines up with that to help them, whatever situation that may be happening in their community. And when you look at the progress report too, it shows you that we have moved the needle in regards to the recommendations that were set out in the inquest. And sometimes, especially with COVID, it's like, what's everybody else doing? Everybody's quiet. There's nothing, there's no action out there or whatever. But when you get to read these, the report, it gives you a sense of, okay, yes, we're working on this big, heavy duty elephant in the city sort of thing in Thunder Bay. And so being recognizing it and identifying it, you know, it's it helps our people in Anishinaabe and our young people to know that we have not forgotten them, and that we are moving to create a safer place for our young people, you know, and to assure the parents when they send them their children on the plane and they arrive in Thunder Bay, and when you see the reports from the different departments or the different resources, you'll see how they've took that effort even beyond and some of the recommendations that that were outlined in the inquest. So I recommend you to check out our website there. It has all the progress report under inquest. So and so that's all I wanted to say. I'm not the main speaker here, so which we do have 20 minutes, so I could tell you a few jokes. Hey, no, just kidding. And that's not one of them. Hey, no, just kidding. But anyways, I want to thank you. And usually they have an envelope here. Oh yes, it's one for Joyce Banks. Hey, no, this is for Amanda Chimingwich. Okay. All right. And you get to go. No questions? Somebody's got to have a question.
Doing your presentation. I just want to give you some recognition. Yeah, I think, you know, you see a little bit of nervousness there, but hey, you did a good job.
Thank you.
Presentation, because it is a big subject matter.
It is.
A lot of people have been working on it, and I think you, what do they call it, word synthesized thing into a package. I think it's great, so kudos to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Online may not have heard it, but she was given recognition for the presentations that she did, and it is a hard, sensitive topic to present, but she did a good job. And I'm not going to say it's going to get easier, but just the topic itself is very hard to present in a positive manner too. So Mingwich for that comment, to Mingwich for her. Anything else? No comment from here because I'm live. Hey. Okay, we're good. Okay, all right. Thank you, guys.